Fun fact. Did you know that if you don't stretch... And welcome back. If you guys are new here, my name is Jasmine.
My name is Matthew Cone.
And we are the 1% Better Everyday Podcast, a space where we learn, connect, and win together. So let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. So I run a marketing agency. What do you do?
All right, guys, so a little bit more about me. I am amazing at filming and editing videos because I love to do it.
Perfect. So I was thinking about this week, and I think I want to change the structure of the podcast a little bit because I know when we started the podcast, we started it as a space for conversations. And I think now with us growing, we always said we loved being teachers and we love educating.
Yep.
So instead of like just having conversations, I think we just want to have, at least on my end, I want to have like a little bit more structure when it comes to like actually teaching. And like going more into like smaller bite-sized things you guys can do at home. Because even like through our first webinar this week, it's just something that I discovered that I feel like sometimes we're giving away way too much, that it's really a lot for people to be able to understand or grasp. What do you think?
I'm just listening.
So the structure will be now, like we introduce ourselves, we kind of just go dive into like how our week has been, and then from there we go into the topic, but instead of just having a conversation about that topic, actually giving them like smaller bite-sized things that they can do at home and actually like teaching them.
We do that now. I feel like we do that now.
Yeah,
so how was
just
your
more
week?
structure with it. And then at the end, we can have like a little segment where we answer your guys' questions. So anytime you guys leave any comments, anytime you guys like email us questions, we do have an email down below. We can go ahead and answer those questions at the end, or we can just focus on that specific hot topic for that episode. But my week was really, really good.
Finally, she got to it.
How was your week?
My week was, how do I describe my week? I crossed off all my T's and dot off all my I's, and just like almost like a perfect week, just missed like one thing. Like was consistent with fitness. Even raised my goal to 150 push-ups a day now instead of just 100. Make sure I ride my bike every morning. Make sure I'm doing my stretches. I did yoga twice this week. And also...
Fun fact. Did you know that if you don't stretch, it could stop blood from pumping into your body? I learned it in the David Goggins book.
Hey. Anyways.
Well, he put me on to stretching. Like, okay, you did. Technically, I put you on to stretching first. I thought about it this morning. I remember it was the pandemic, and I did this 5-minute stretch video, and you were like, "Oh, like who is she?" Send it to me, and then I sent it to you, and then from there, you got obsessed with stretching. And this morning, he was like, "I taught you that, and you should already know that."
Look, guys, I've been stretching since high school. I used to lead the whole track squad in stretching because I love stretching so much, and I feel like stretching makes you stronger too because you pull in a part of your muscle for long periods of time of those muscles that you don't normally move. So that's why I love stretching. Stretching has always been a part of me, and then I picked it up even more after my mom passed away. And I've been doing it for like 4 years straight, like just nonstop. And then teaching other people about stretching too, because stretching is super, super duper important, especially if you love to be active, if you love to go to, especially if you love to go to the gym, like that's very, very important because it's for recovery of your muscles as well. So, and it allows you to be stronger. You want to be a stronger person, like not only just in strength in the gym, but like strength outside of the gym when you like doing some extracurricular activities or just need to move something or just feeling the weight of your own body, like being flexible just helps, super helps.
Are you a service-based entrepreneur that provides some kind of service, but you don't know how to create content in order to convert someone from following you into a paying client? I'm going to tell you exactly what to post in order to start generating more leads, attract high-paying clients, and get more DMs than you can possibly answer. I will help you how to find your niche, how to find your target audience, and craft offers that will attract top buyers every time you go to make a post. Text me content to 513-516-7332 to learn more on how you can get mentored by me for only $99 a month.
But back to my week.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, almost damn near perfect for me. I'm just missing one thing that I need to do, and that's more like the operation side of the business. But other than that, we seen some clouds the other day, which we don't normally see in Arizona.
And it rained.
And it rained for like a day.
Which is really, really rare in Arizona.
Then the sun came back out, so.
Yeah. Going back to our week, I think that, just when you're an independent contractor, it's like something that we talked about this morning. But when you're an independent contractor, and especially when you know that you're trying to grow your own business, I don't want to say it's more challenging, but you just have to be more patient in the long run, because we are essentially buying our own clients and growing our own audience base. And not to say that it's easier or it's a shortcut, but I think that when you work with a corporate company, it's still a contract. You can still work with them as a contract, but I think that's still more of a safety net, because that's like secure money that's coming in. Versus when you're buying your own clients, you still have to do, the same thing that a normal company would do, but they already have the leads. And so it's more like you have to go and, create the content, get the prospects, and then from the prospects, make them, if they are a qualified lead, get them on a phone call, and then from the phone call, close them. But we were having that conversation this morning, and I think that in business now I'm realizing that there's definitely different paths that you could go under, which again, do you want to be the CEO and grow your own business, or do you want to, just work with one client and work under like another corporate company and just go that route, which is a more safe, secure route when it comes to income.
Yeah, I love that. And speaking of corporate companies and stuff like that, what I always tell people is multiple streams of income. Hands down, point blank period. If you want to be successful in this life, multiple streams of income. I've always been on that team, multiple streams of income. But again, speaking of corporate offices, can we talk about, or corporate companies, can we talk about being in a corporate setting and like starting your own podcast and what it takes to like build up to that? Yeah.
Well, going back to the corporate conversation really quick, it just leaves you handcuffed to that one stream of income.
No, it don't.
If that's the route that you want to go.
No, it don't.
Because some people just want to work for a corporate company and they don't want other streams of income.
But if they actually do want it, they can get it. They just got to put in extra work. It's the people just lazy. They don't want to put in extra work.
Correct. But growing a podcast, like, in like what ways? Like, you still have to get it approved by the board. If a corporate company has a board, it still has to go through, a set of people that have to approve on the idea.
Or just for no board, but it is for a company, right? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about like the thought of it, going from actually filming it to getting it edited to getting it posted. Like, what's that process like, and how should because people always come up to me like brand new with never had any podcasts, and I'm pretty sure they come up to you too about just like starting that. Like, what's that journey like?
Yeah. Well, let's get into it, you guys. Go ahead and grab your notes. Go ahead and grab your pens. Grab your drinks, your snacks, because we're going to go ahead and get into the nitty gritty. But I think for any business, like something that we talked about during our webinar this week, which we can get into it because that's on our outline today, is, the fundamentals of creating a business. Because ultimately, if you create a podcast, it's still coming from a concept. It's still coming from a vision. So there's 3 things that you have to do for any business, any podcast, any corporate company, any organization that you're trying to be a part of, or that you're trying to start yourself. You have to go through these 3 fundamentals, which the first one is having a vision, having a concept, having, some kind of mission statement for your business. What are you even trying to do with that business?
No, I love that.
If you want to add.
No, that was perfect. That's honestly like the perfect start, is making sure you have the concept, proof of concept, like visually, physically, however you need to present it to you and whoever team that you're having to help build that. And then actually, what prevents the person from having that first step of what you're saying to the next step of actually getting it out there, actually filming it and getting it started and posted and all that.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get there. So write that down. Like, what do you want people to think of when they think of your brand? Like, what do you want people to come to mind when they think of your brand? And it can go back to the emotion. How are they feeling? It can go back to like the vibe, the aesthetic. What does it look like? What does it taste like? What does it feel like? The texture. For me, I know for my company, like if you guys notice my colors, I use a lot of like neutrals and creams and reds because that is something that I can relate with. That's something that's actually in my everyday life. Like I love those creams because those are common colors. You guys see like the red and the green because those get your attention right away. So it goes to like those like little specific details of going back to that brand and who is it for? Ultimately, what problem are you trying to solve in the marketplace? And then staying on that topic, that can feed into market research. Because now that you have your brand, now that you know, why did you start your brand? What was the purpose of it? Whether you want to help people, whether you want to, help them with their car detailing, whether you want to help them with, maybe just providing like a relaxing night so that way you can come in and be the chef. Whether it be, just providing videography services for a company so that way they can have memories for a lifetime. What is the problem that you're trying to solve? Then you go into market research. Well, if these people are already doing it, how can you do it even better? Or how can you do it in a different way? Something that I was on TikTok live earlier and I was telling my audience was that a lot of people that know how to speak Spanish, that in itself is a niche. That in itself is a lane. And, you've always been telling me from the beginning, like, make more Spanish content, because that is true. I'm in marketing, but by me being able to speak Spanish, I'm already reaching a whole nother audience of Spanish speakers that the people that don't know how to speak Spanish physically can't do business with them if they don't feel comfortable. So it goes back to that relationship. Maybe somebody wants to work with you just because you speak the same language. Or maybe somebody wants to work with you because you're doing this in a different way and you're showing them like their culture, something that they can relate to. That's why it's so important for our business to be unique, because nobody's made the same way. So no business is going to be the same way. People want to work with you for specific reasons, not just the business or the actual product or service.
Yeah, absolutely. So on one of our previous episodes, I noticed that we mentioned that we were going to talk about how to start a podcast from ground up as a business owner. You started it. You had some really good valid points. And then you started talking about market research. And you lost me after that. And I'm just like, motherfuckers is not going to pay attention to that shit.
Okay.
How do you get a motherfucking podcast from thought to actually seriousness? Because look, we always say
true.
Hold on, wait,
time out.
We always, at the end of these podcasts, because I know her ass don't be watching the podcast episodes, but I'm watching them
now
because I edit them.
I'm watching them now.
And we always say some shit at the end, like, we're going to do this the next episode, and we never do it. So I'm like, all right, let me make sure we actually say what we're going to do from the previous podcast episode.
Okay.
You do your proof of concept. You come up with your idea. You might come up with a logo or the name or the title. And like she said before, is...
Okay, number 3, in order to start a podcast, you need a brand concept.
Proof of concept,
or like some kind of brand concept. Market research, like knowing how to stand out, how to be unique.
How to help people.
And then number 3, which is putting the content out there or starting somewhere. If you're if you're a sales company, obviously you need leads. So you need to create content in order to get leads. Simple as that. Like, you just need content to get leads. If you're a podcast or some kind of digital space where you're creating content for others to view, then you just need views, likes, and then from there, I mean, you can, it goes into different areas of like sponsorships, blah, blah, blah. But just to keep it simple, you just need content out there so that way people can start watching it, and then you can start building a fan base, I would say.
Absolutely. Now, a question I was trying to ask you before is, what keeps people from having the idea and the proof of concept to actually physically doing it? Like, what's stopping them in their head?
Lot.
Like, especially like I see all these couples
Self-limiting beliefs.
that's trying to do the same stuff as us, but then like when it's actually time to actually do it, they don't come up with nothing.
I think money is the number one reason.
You think so?
Because I remember during the pandemic, like 2022, I'm not going to mention any names, but these two girls wanted to start a podcast, and I told them, like, let's do it, but we're going to need to pay somebody to record our podcast. So we all said, like, if we pitch in and we pay a videographer to record the podcast, and we all pay, like, I think it was like less than $50 per every time that we shoot, then we could record it. And none of them wanted to do it because of the money. So it just goes to show, like, people don't realize how much goes into a podcast until you actually have to start doing it, and you have to pay for a videographer. And then people are like, oh, well, I just can't do it. Like, find a way instead of just saying, like, oh, I can't afford it. Find a way to afford it.
Yeah.
If you can only afford a videographer once a month and you have to pay whatever it is, then find a way to afford that videographer so that way you can get your podcast launched. But I think a lot of times it's just the fear of success, the fear of it's never going to work, so why even spend the money, or why even waste the money? So that's why I said a lot of self-limiting beliefs. Like, what do they think is going to happen?
Yeah. And then I love that she said market research, and the biggest reason why, to me, we're doing market research is to see what other people like about the shit that we like, and the reason why we want to put it out. Because if we're not understanding the proof of our content and the reason why we're creating the content and the reason why we know it would do so well, then it doesn't make sense to even put it out, right? Mm-hmm. Like, remember when you first got your YouTube, like I first convinced you to get your YouTube, like what do you think about the start of that to now, like, and what putting out content on YouTube and starting a podcast for your company, like, what has that done for yourself?
It's done a lot. But that's crazy. I remember when I first started the first video that I was going to record on YouTube. Excuse me. I was kind of shy because I had never recorded videos on YouTube, but at the same time, like, I wasn't scared because I remember when I was 8, me and my sister recorded a video for YouTube, and it's still out there and we haven't been able to find it, and it was like this dance. But I think I was just, like, scared. I was scared of, like, what people were going to say when I started recording videos. Like, they're going to be like, oh, she's a YouTuber now, blah, blah. But I think, honestly, at the beginning, it's just, like, a lot of, like, fear of, like, just other outside things. And then from there, obviously it helped my business because I was able to get clients through my business. I was able to, meet new people or get partnerships. Like, I remember this lady messaged me and she was like, oh, I've seen all your content, like, do you create websites? And that was a client.
Boom.
So
you heard it here first. For all the entrepreneurs out there and business owners out there, understanding that the compound effect is real when you putting out your own podcast content material, because somebody recognized you because of your consistency by putting out content in your own podcast on YouTube or just out there on social media, and then that allowed somebody to view you as a person of authority for your business, right? That's super, super important for entrepreneurs and business owners out there.
The reason content is so important is because there's 3 things that people have to go through before they ever buy with you, which is they have to know you, they have to like you, and they have to trust you. Mm-hmm. I think it's like...
Know, like, and trust.
Like KLT? Yeah, KLT. KLT factor. It's basically know, like, and trust. Can people know you? Can people like you? Can people trust you? If people trust you, then they will buy with you.
Now, guys, there's multiple... You do not need a videographer to start a podcast. Believe it or not, like, you don't need to spend no money. I guarantee you 99.9% of the people out there that want to start a podcast have everything they need.
Or be
right there in front of
a
them.
YouTuber. Like I started all my YouTube vlogs with my iPhone, and people till this day still ask me like, "Oh, what camera do you use? What camera do you use?" I'm like, "My iPhone."
Started with an iPhone.
Like, your iPhone costs
Now we
$1,500. Why would you not use it?
You already, even if you don't have an iPhone, at some point, I know right now, most people have a camera, phone that can record video and audio at the same time. So I know it's a possibility. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
You start with that concept. You do your market research, like she said before. You understand how you want to help people with your content, and you simply execute. You figure out how you get a time in the day to film yourself, right? You find a quiet place where you can concentrate, and you make sure what did you say earlier, Jazz, about the mindset? You make sure you're not shy. Don't be shy to press record, right? Because sometimes that's what keeps us from putting out content, is because we don't like ourselves, what we show on camera. We say we want to be authentic, but then when we press record and we look back at ourselves, we don't like ourselves. Business owners and entrepreneurs, why is that?
Yeah. Matt, I need your help growing my social media audience.
All right, guys, if you need help growing your social media audience, make sure you text 602-390-7002. Once again, it's 602-390-7002.
I was going to say, maybe for the next one, we should talk about just content stuff.
See, there we go. Remember for the next one.
We should just talk
about
content
we got to make
stuff.
sure we write this down for the next one.
But going back to what you said with relatability, people don't realize that nowadays, like, technology is taking over everywhere. Technology is taking over AI. Technology is like, I even saw it now where if you go into if you go on like the internet and you search something, if you're using I think it's ChatGPT, there's like a little brain, and it even tells you like, oh, do you want me to tell you what to search? Like, it's literally everywhere. Like, AI is taking everywhere. And so people don't realize that by you showing your imperfections and by you just being real with people people like that. Like, people crave that nowadays because everything is so computer and everything is so perfect and everything is like so, just glamorized and perfect, that people want to, see people that they can relate to. People still want to see people that they feel like they see themselves in. And so I always tell people, like, who cares? Like, people, I remember at the beginning.
Did you have a videographer?
No, but when
I started
recording my videos, I would stutter all the time, and I still stutter, but like back then it was way worse, and I could have let that stop me, or I could have said like, I'm never recording YouTube videos, but I just said, who cares? Like, so many other people are going to be able to relate that are bilingual, because that's the reason why my stuttering, or why I even have to, just think about my words sometimes, because I forget or I'm translating in my head, but people can relate to that.
Did you have an editor?
No.
She edited her own videos. It's all about putting in the work that we don't really want to do, entrepreneurs. If you don't know how to edit, you can look it up on YouTube. Yeah, but some people complain about not having the money for the editor, or they don't have the time. Like, as a business owner and entrepreneur, you should be able to time manage your own time to figure out how you can successfully achieve your goal. And that's the thing, as entrepreneurs and business owners, we always give ourselves excuses not to reach that next level because we feel like we don't have the time to do it. That's a lie. That's a lie that's made up in your head.
Yeah. And write down, like, what are all the obstacles that are keeping you from showing up on camera? Like, I remember my business coach, she even told me, like, when she started recording content, one of the things that was stopping her on camera was she just didn't want to show her face. Like, she just didn't want to show up. And so write down, like, what are those obstacles? And then every week, try to overcome one of those obstacles, and then that will become easier.
I like
because
that.
maybe people don't want to see themselves on camera. I mean, maybe people don't want to record the visuals to a podcast, but you can still record a podcast with just the audio. Like, you can buy a microphone from Walmart that's $20, or you can even use your iPhone and, just record the voice memo. And then after you record the voice memo, all you have to do is just upload it on Anchor, and Anchor's free. So there's ways, you just have to find a way. And so I think people kind of just, they stop at the first thing that they feel like is a challenge, and they're like, oh well. Like, don't become a victim of your situation. Actually find a way to make it possible. Obviously, it's going to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everybody wouldn't do it.
You said something super important.
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah, overcoming those fears. Figure out what's your fear of keep preventing yourself from being on camera, and actually people don't ask for help, right? As business owners and entrepreneurs, I don't understand why, but we don't ask for help or don't ask questions. Like, it's okay to get rejected or to get a no.
I think it's ego.
It is. It's perfectly okay.
Especially in the entrepreneurship space, it's like ego. It's like people don't want to admit that they don't know everything to a topic, or people are scared to ask somebody else for help because they're like, oh, like it's just their ego.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if somebody asks, say, is there anything I can do for you? And they're a subject matter expert. Oh, yes, of course. I'm going to ask you 10 million questions because I know I want to get that done. But back to to wrapping up. So we came up with the proof of concept, right? Mm-hmm. And then after we came up with the proof of concept, we did our market research. We figured out how we were going to help people with our podcast and content, right? Let's say, for example, we film it ourselves, right? We film it, we ready. All right. We was like, all right, how do I get it to YouTube, or how do I get it to that next thing? And then we're like, what's that thing we get in our heads, and we start watching other people's content, and we like, oh, that looks nice and stuff like that.
And when it comes to content, just create the content and put it out there. Yeah. Don't overthink it, because that's another thing. Like, you're gonna realize, like, a lot of the things that we're saying, it's actually really easy. The main thing that stops you is your mindset. It's your beliefs. It's how you think about something. It's, are you thinking negatively? Are you thinking positively about the situation? Are you thinking that the podcast is going to fail before you even start? A lot of it starts in your mind. So even when it comes to content, like, don't worry about the content being perfect, because if you go back to my content back then from 5 years ago, you still see it. Like, the font was off, the color was off, the wording was off.
Yes, like, people are so caught up in that editing.
So just put the content out there. Like, who cares? At the end of the day, time, what really, really changed my perspective is that time will pass on whether you do it or not. And people are going to judge you whether you do it or not. So might as well just do it your way and do it the way that you like. Like, who cares what people are going to say, or who cares if, it takes you 2 years to do it or 5 years to do it, because at the end of the day, one day you can look back and say, at least I started something. At least I took a chance, or at least, I didn't fall a victim to my situation, but I actually took it into my own hands and I did something with it.
Mm-hmm. And guys, don't be afraid. Once we've got it edited, or if we didn't edit it and we got it wrong, we uploaded it, or we press upload and we feel good. Don't be afraid to share it, and don't be afraid of not getting no likes and not getting no views, because that prevents us from doing that job again. We didn't want to do it, and now we're like, oh man, whereas all your excitement was built up, and then you get disappointed because of the analytics that come back. Don't be afraid of doing it again and again and again, because that's where the business owner, the business owner and the entrepreneur quits, is when they're on the verge of the win and is getting super, super hard, and they're not seeing any return. Like, that's where their wall usually stops at, and that's where they give up. At that point you want to give up, you gotta keep going.
Yeah. And I had a really good point I was going to add, and I forgot.
You should have interrupted me. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And go ahead and comment down below, like, what questions do you have when it comes to creating a podcast? Like, what would you do differently? If you could give someone a piece of advice, go ahead and drop it down below so that way somebody else can see it. But that's why we're sharing all this, is because ultimately, if you do the research, if you use other people for help, if you just do these 3 simple things, then you will succeed. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. Do you really want to create this podcast that bad, or is it just an idea? I think something that we used to hear a lot was, are you asking me because you actually want the information and you actually want to execute, or is it just something that was a nice thought for you.
Yeah, it's a what do they call it? A dopamine hit.
Yeah.
When you receive information that you've always wanted to receive.
And then you don't do anything.
But then you don't do anything with it. Like,
yeah.
Surface level, man. We got to give y'all surface level.
Yeah.
If y'all want to get on the Zoom calls and y'all want the technical shit, technical shit, Jazz, tell them what they have to text and what number they have to text to.
So let's go ahead and announce our new program. We did go ahead and create our own school community. So we will be hosting a free week. Well, technically it's not free. You have to enroll. But you do get a weekly coaching call with us. And on the weekly coaching call, we cover how to create a website, how to get your LLC, how to start a business, how to create content. We cover everything when it comes to starting a business. So that way you guys don't have to do the hours of research that it took us. You guys can just pay $99 a month and you guys get the shortcut to success. So that's why we created it, was because we have so much information that you guys could all learn from. And again, it took us thousands and thousands. I mean, not thousands. Have we lived thousands?
Thousands of hours. Oh yeah. Thousands of hours of work for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But it took us a lot of time.
A lot of time.
You guys get the shortcut by only paying $99 a month. Again, you guys get 4 monthly coaching calls with us, one every week. And then you guys do get a monthly guest speaker that comes and talks about a different topic. You guys get digital resources, you guys get homework, and you guys have a community where you guys can network with one another and you guys can connect with other like-minded individuals that are there in the same, group for the same purpose as you, to learn and to evolve and grow their business. But
love it.
Again, my name is Jasmine.
My name is Matthew Cohn.
And we are the 1% Better Everyday podcast. Again, don't forget to join our school community calls if you are a content creator and want to learn the digital marketing skills to up-level your business. Again, DM us the word school. We'll send you the link, but we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Peace.